Hi, friends. If you're on here, just say hey so I know you're there. I see a couple of people. I'm not saying a lot, but a couple of people are on here. But if you could just post your comments on here, give permission to StreamYard. Hopefully you can hear me. Hang on. Let me make sure. Yeah, hopefully you can hear me. That's always my big hang up. If you can say yes, please. I appreciate it. I have no way of checking because this is so new to me. But anyway, we've got 1 minute. Oh, no, it's 2 o'clock exactly. We're going to get started. Hopefully you're drawing with me today. We're doing the hair. So let me just wait a couple more minutes just to make sure we got everything. Hi, Dee. Yay, you're waiting. Okay, you can hear me. Good. Hopefully you're drawing along. This is week 5. So we've done 5. It's hard to believe. We've done the face proportions. We've done the eye. We've done the nose, the mouth. Is that right? Face, eye, nose, mouth. Yep. And today's hair. Next week will be the last one. It's going to be the ear because that's a quick one. Hi, Margarita. She's back again. She's my loyal drawing student every week. And you're doing great too. But anyway, next week we'll be doing the ear and we'll finish up putting it all together. So it might be a little bit longer class, but we're gonna put it all together in one drawing. So if you're drawing along with me, appreciate the fact that you've been along with this little journey and I hope to do more tutorials in the future. So let's get started. Hopefully I've got a good connection today. And let me go to the drawing table here. Let me adjust this here. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to be doing the hair today. And here's my little sketch I did this morning. And the thing about the hair, you remember, I recommend you go to unsplash.com. It's that website that gives you free photos and you don't have to worry about copyright infringement. So here's a couple of pictures that I got from this website, unsplash.com. And we're going to be going over just quickly how to do facial hair. That to me is not as complicated as head hair, okay? Our little Mr. Man from every week, we're going to go over a little bit of that. It's just really little marks that make up the hair. So we're going to do that quickly. But let's talk about the hair first. Okay, if you noticed, remember last week or the week before that, we talked about our shadows. So when we're looking at hair, it's about shadows as well. Okay, so let's go to the drawing board here. And I'm going to pull up a new piece of paper. I am using this week, last week I think I was using Bristol. This week I'm using Strathmore. I like Strathmore drawing paper because it's not too coarse. It's kind of a medium weight. It gives you nice texture. That's probably one of my favorite drawing pads, and it's pretty affordable. Okay, and then on my table, I also have pencils. I'm going to be using a lighter pencil right now just to outline a shape. So let's do HB. That's kind of an in-between. Let me get my HB. Okay, so when we're talking about hair, we're talking about shapes. And I'm going to pull this picture up, okay? So we're going to divide this up into a couple of sections here, okay? So on this lady, when you see her hair, really the way you want to start is by doing shapes, okay? And if you notice here, it's this shape here, okay? I'm going to highlight some of this, see if I can. So if you think about, this is not the color highlight I needed, but if you think about hair as being shapes, you're going to see that shape here, you're going to see a shape here, and if you do those shapes first, that's going to make it easier for you to do pieces of hair. If you put little portions together, then you bring them all together, that's going to be a little bit more accurate. So for her, she's got a shape here, and then she's got this shape around her face, okay? Now, if you notice, again, I'm going to go back to light. This is the darkest light or the darkest shade in her hair. So what I would do is completely darken that in, okay? So this is not the one we're going to be doing, but I just kind of want to give you an idea. So what I'm going to do is do my darkest shade, which in my case would be an 8B, but actually my darkest is going to be a charcoal pencil, but we'll go over that in just a second. I can't find an 8B. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is basically darken this whole thing. And you want a solid mass, because if you look at the reference photo, it is kind of a solid mass, you know. Just darken it in. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's hair and it's going to have flyaway hairs, okay? Now with drawing hair, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need your pencils, and you're going to need really light to dark. So if you just have one, remember pressure is the way to go. You're also going to need your brush, a blending stump, because this is going to be really crucial for today, blending stump, an eraser with a fine point, or your electric eraser if you have one, or last week I think I introduced these little pencil erasers. I'm not really a fan of these though, because you can't sharpen them in a pencil sharpener, and then when you try to shave them with a blade, it kind of loses the form. So I'm not really a fan. But anyway, it's good to have all kinds of erasers. And then you'll want to have your little white jelly roll for highlights. Okay, so that's kind of the basic setup for hair today. Okay, so we did this dark. We did this dark shade, and we're going to go ahead and blend it with a brush. Okay, you can blend it with a brush. In this case, you can blend it with a stump too, because it's dark. Okay, and notice that's not going to be the darkest we do. Okay, now we're going to go and we're going to try to get these shapes here. See these shapes? They're almost like stripes. So I'm going to do a dark shape here, and then a dark shape here. And really, like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect. This is a HB. I want to go back to my dark. When you're doing your darkest shades, let me show you the difference. Here's a charcoal pencil. A charcoal pencil is going to give you the darkest, deepest, softest darkness. And really, when you're doing hair, I highly recommend, look at the difference. See that? I highly recommend a charcoal pencil. They also come in grades. This is an HB, okay? But this is really going to give you depth, okay? So I go back over here. And the thing is that you want to develop form and depth in your hair, okay? So I'm just going to go over that. I'm going to go over oh, there it goes. My darkest shades. See, I really, really pressed down on that. Okay, so my darkest shades, I want to do my darkest pencil lines, okay? And really, you want to always go the direction of the hair, okay? Always go the direction of the hair. Okay, now here I am. See that kind of a shape right there? So I want to form that. Okay. Okay. So we have the darkest shade there. Now let's blend that, because you want a base foundation. So you want to blend all that. I know it looks like a mess right now, but trust me. Trust the process, right, ladies? This is what always happens every time. Let's blend all that out. This needs to go darker. We'll go darker, but for the sake of showing you how to do it, this is just preliminaries here. We'll go back. All right, so now I'm going to go back. I'm going to do a 4B. And again, you want to go the direction of the hair, okay? And just fill it in. And this is straight hair. We'll get to curly hair in a sec, okay? And you can put as many, don't worry about perfection, because hair kind of goes crazy. Y'all see that? Hers kind of goes there. She has maybe one here, okay? Here as well. And remember, shapes You want to work from dark to light. Dark to light. So I'm using my darkest pencil first. Then I'm going back with a medium, kind of a medium shade. This is kind of dark medium, 4B, but okay. And here we have another shape, so we want to add that in. Notice this shape is not as dark as that one. So I'm going to use a lighter pencil grade. Still dark, it's 4B, but it's not as dark. And remember, layers, 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 okay? So we're going to go there, do that. And what are we going to do? We're going to blend it all again, okay? Just blend it all. It's not until you get to your last details where you put in the real look of hair, the real details, okay? Okay. Now, right now, if you look kind of squint, you can see that there is hair and there's shapes and stuff. Now, this to me looks a little flat. So I'm going to go back with my darkest now and really get my darkest shade. Okay, so right here is dark. And then also here, I guess it doesn't help that I just busted my graphite. Ugh, let me use something different. This is, I think that's an old pencil or something. Let's use this one. This is dark too. Okay, so I'm going to fill this in. Now these pencils, they're black pencils. They are they're really kind of almost crayon-y. You know, they don't erase really well. So these right here, the Staedtler black, these are for pretty permanent marks here. So you're not wanting, I wouldn't recommend these for like sketches where you're wanting to erase, because this is pretty permanent. It stays on there pretty well. Okay, but for our sake today, I'm just going to darken it all in here, because my graphite charcoal did not work. I don't know why, that's kind of bothering me now. I'm not sure why it didn't. Is that working? Yeah, okay. All right. Kind of moving the graphite. Okay, so we're going to get that dark, okay? And then we're going to go back and do a couple of dark spots here. All right. Nothing like a pencil that's not working for you. Apologize for that. Okay. Okay, now we're going to take our eraser and do the highlights. Okay, so we have our cast shadow, which is way behind the face, and then we have our midtones all throughout the hair. And now we're going to do the highlight. Hello, can't even talk. Okay, so in these shapes that we were creating, we're going to cast a little highlight. So it gives it a little bit of dimension, okay? And here's where you can use a cut eraser. I cut my plastic eraser. Sorry. I cut my plastic eraser, and you can use the point, okay? And you really want to highlight this, because that's what's really going to bring that form, okay? So we're going to do a couple of these in areas to give it that dimension. And then we're going to also do some flyaway ones where it looks like that. See that? And you really want to use a sharp edge. For those of you that have a electric eraser, this comes really, really, really handy. Okay, so you can actually do a little bit better with highlights and hairs with an electric eraser. You don't want to have one of these, they're really fun. And you're just going to go and put highlights all over to make it look like real hair. And she's got here. Okay. All right. All right, how are we doing? You guys doing okay? Okay. So, all right. So that's kind of straight hair in a nutshell. Okay. We're going to go next to, well, let's talk about curly hair. On curly hair, I don't have a picture reference, but really you're going to be just filling it all in. I do have a picture from a long time ago. Let me show you the difference here. So, well, the shine, there we go. Okay, so the difference, this is oil pastel. So when you do an oil pastel drawing, the good thing about it is that you can fill in all the different colors. Notice this, I didn't do so many lines. I just did a lot of base foundation color in patches. And then I went back over with my jelly roll and stuck a little bit, you know, little spikes of hair everywhere. And it gives it the illusion of hair, you see? Also the top, it was just a dark black foundation. And then I went over with a jelly roll and made it look like hair. So it's really, let me show you this one too. This, if you look at it, it's little bitty circles. This is curly hair. Really nothing really fancy about it. It's just, you just draw shapes of color and then the texture, you add texture. That's the advantage of color, because you can actually do that with blocks of color, whereas drawing is a different story. Okay, so let's quickly draw some facial look. We're going to get back to drawing the hair in a minute. We're going to do curly hair. But let's look at this real quick. I started, if I can find my photo reference, I started this guy a couple of hours ago. And basically, again, if you look, there's a shape of dark. It's almost like an S. Do y'all see that? S. And then there's a shadow here, a dark, dark shadow. All of this is dark, that's dark, and then it's light. But you want to do, what you want to do is create a shade based on what you're looking at. Always, again, always use a photo reference. Everybody uses a photo reference. Just because they use a photo reference doesn't mean they're cheating, because this is how you learn, okay? So basically what I did was I took a dark pencil, and I'm going to show you how to do the facial hair here. Okay, I took a dark pencil. I do my base coat here. We'll do his sideburn. This has a ways to go because I still have to erase it, in case you're wondering why that looks weird. Okay, but okay, so I'm going to do my shadow here, because what I'm seeing is a little darker here. If y'all have any questions, holler at me. Okay, so, and then we're going to blend it. Always blend in that foundation sketch, okay, your foundation color, and let it go into the skin as well. That'll blend in nicely, okay? Now, with facial hair, honestly, that's where you need a really dark, dark pencil, and I'm not sure why this isn't working, but let me see. Well, it's working now. Okay, so what you're going to do, let me hone in on this. Okay, and this is where you need to practice, okay? You're literally going to do these little bitty marks, spikes, I call them little spikes, where the top of it is thicker and it tapers to the bottom. That's accurate for hair. Top is thicker and it tapers. So you're kind of flecking it. You just, you know, fleck I guess that's how you say it. Just little fleck marks. Okay, so you're going to do that. And on him, they're pretty, tight. They don't have to be perfect. Go the direction of the hair. He's got some crazy ones right here. Let me get this out for you. There. Okay. So let's do the sideburns. So he's got little bitty. This takes a lot of patience, y'all. If y'all aren't, especially if it's realistic. I mean, on everything else, you can do it pretty quickly, but when you're wanting to do realistic hair, this takes forever. Every week I say, this is hard, but you know what? It's all hard, and I'm glad you're doing it with me, okay? So basically, that's all you do. You just fleck it just like that. And where it's lighter, I'm doing dark. I'm doing a variation. I'm doing dark along the side here. He's got this dark. And you can get to where you do it really, really quickly, okay? Dark. And then I'm going to switch pencils, and I'm going to go a little lighter. And you can vary it. Yeah, this takes a long time, and it'll hurt your hand for a bit. Okay, but I'm not, for the sake of this class, I'm not going to do the whole beard. I'll finish it and I'll post a picture. But then we're going to do all the white ones. Okay, remember? So we're going to take the white hairs. We're going to take, if he has white hairs, okay? If he doesn't have white hairs, we're doing also highlights. Okay, so it's either you're doing white hairs or you're doing highlights. Okay, so yeah, this is where you do your little eraser or your jelly roll. And I'll show you in just a second. He's got some white here. Now, notice that I'm erasing, that bottom layer, and it's kind of thick because I don't have, let me use my, and this is kind of thick too. So what you can do, if your eraser lines are a little too thick, you can actually go back and add some pencil mark to fill it in. So then it looks a little bit more natural, okay? So then you just go back and fill those areas in, and you retain the highlights, okay? So that's okay. There's no mistakes. You just retain the highlights. And you want to do some little dots here because he's got little dots. Okay, little whiskers. And you just add, okay? Now, once you've done all that, then you look at the overall picture again, and you go, oh, whoa. See, this isn't dark enough, really, and that's really, really dark. So then I would take my darkest pencil, which would be a charcoal, or one of these black pencils, and I would go back over every dark area. See? And that gives it volume. So you can see where this, I've just started. This, I'm starting to hone in on detail. Now, you can really see where there's hairs that go in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay? You see the difference there? Okay. So, work on that. It takes a long time to do a beard. And that's just a small beard. But really, it's pretty simple once you start doing it. Just remember, identify your shapes, darken those in, go from dark to light, and always have highlights, okay? Now, for today's lesson, we are going to do, let's look at some of these hairs, okay? Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, good, yeah. Okay, and I'll show you why I picked these hairs. These hairs, because it was real simple. I wanted to just show you the shape on that. This one, I really liked the highlight, okay? And she had a curve here. This one was the one I just did, the little girls, and that was a good light study. This curly hair is crazy. Curly hair, okay? Men's hair, same thing. Pretty easy. Start from dark to light, highlights at the top. Always identify your light source. Remember that? Always. Okay, and here I thought this was a good example because she has such a striking highlight on the front of her hair. Again, dark to light, and that's what's going to give it a lot of dimension. Here's another very, very dark shape, dark, and then the light source is what gives it that crazy dimension. So for today, we are going to try curly hair or waving hair. My hair. I chose to do this one because it's got more contrast, okay? And we're probably going to do just a section of it, okay? So let's go back. This is unfinished, but you get the gist of it, okay? Let's go back and talk about highlights. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to do an S-curve. All right, pretend that this is a hair, okay, and we'll use it as part of this, okay? In fact, we'll use this because most curls are S's or spirals, okay? Any questions at all? You guys doing okay? Okay. All right, those are spirals, okay? We're gonna put in this curl, okay? And then we're gonna give it a little bit of volume. Now, if you look at this, you see where the highlights are. See there? In this case, it's like right here, all right? So let's go dark to light. So we're going to start out with our darkest pencil. Let's say I'm doing, you know what? Let's go ahead and start this, okay? I'm going to be doing this area here, okay? And again, we're going to do certain areas, just certain strands of hair, certain little strands of hair, not all of them, okay? Dark to light. Let's go to a second layer here. Do that. Remember, if you do little sections at a time at first, that makes it so much easier, okay? So I can go ahead and add some of this stuff. Yes, definitely. But let's work on strands, on these little sections first. Okay, so we have darkest here. And then it goes down. And then I'm going to go ahead and here. I kind of did a little more curve on that one just because I was messing, but let's go here, make it a little bit more accurate, okay? So this is dark, remember, so I'm going to fill that in. The direction of the hair, work your wrist, okay? Work your wrist. Direction of the hair. Okay, now let's go ahead and take our blending stump or our brush and just blend all that in just to get that base color in, okay? So I guess I would equate it to when I paint, I'm putting in a base color, okay? That's what I'm doing when I'm blending for hair, just putting in that base color, all right? Now when we look at this hair, we're gonna see that this section here has a little bit more darkness. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. We're just going to do a bunch of hair here. Give it the foundation. And here we have a little bit more. Here we have some. And then down here. Let's just kind of give it a foundation, okay? We're going to blend it all. Okay. And then we're going to continue with the strands. Okay. So dark to light. Let's go back over here. Let's do this little curve right here. It's darker over here. So I'm going to do dark. And then it kind of gets lost. Again, this just takes a lot of patience. Okay. Clumps at a time. Okay, I know this doesn't look like anything right now, but it will, trust me. Clumps at a time. Let me go back here, kind of fill that in. No right or wrong. Your hair's going to look different from mine because I'm kind of going crazy with all these different layers and stuff. Okay, and then my second color. Or my second shade, my second grade. Ugh, getting all dirty here. Okay. Okay, now let's just to prove that we're doing this, we're on the right path here. Let's go ahead and just do some highlights here. First of all, we're going to just probably take this lightest color, and I have to literally move my pad. I don't know why. And usually where it's highlighted, there's a lot, like a band of highlights, okay? So we're going to add that. And again, it's pretty random. See how that's starting to get some shape here? And then I'm going to add a little bit here. I think my battery is, everything's falling apart. My charcoal, my battery. Ugh. Okay. She's got crazy flyaway hair over here. Same thing here. Okay. See how that starts to look like hair? I know it looks kind of crazy there because you have to see a little bit more volume. But let's keep going, okay? So really, I think the most important thing about hair is the dark shade, the darkest shades, because that's what gives it depth, okay? So we really, really want to concentrate on those darker shades in the hair, in the shape of the hair, okay? So I'm going to make an effort now to go and really kind of capture more of the dark shades, okay? Yeah, that's the most. And if you can hang and get to the point where you do the highlights, that's where it all pops. So see, I'm just randomly putting in dark shape. I'm right here now. Direction of the hair. Okay. And if you're doing a full head, I'm about to sneeze. It will look weird at first. Excuse me. It'll look really super strange at first, but just, again, keep working it, layers and layers and layers. See, right now, I can tell you right now that this looks kind of weird, so I'm going to go back and add a little shadow and just start to build your volume. See, that's already looking like crazy hair, isn't it? Kind of like my hair, actually. Okay, but if it's curly, yeah, you want to definitely do, you know, different waves and different shapes like that. Generally with a curl, you're going to see dark on both sides and then highlight in the middle. And that kind of gives it that almost a ribbon effect, okay? So, yeah, I am now going to turn direction. I'm going to do this one right here. Super, super random. Unless you're doing a man's, like a crew cut, then it's really easy. But for women's hair, and straight hair is pretty easy too. But we're jumping and getting this really, really difficult attempt at drawing hair. Okay, I'm going to go to my 6B now and kind of give it a mid-tone here. How are y'all doing? Good? Yeah, hair is crazy. Okay, so I have my mid-tone. You see the difference? Mid-tone, highlight, and then dark depth shadow or cast shadow. Okay, now this pencil cannot get as dark as my charcoal. So even though I try to get it dark, it's not good enough. So I'm going to go back to my charcoal under here. Oh, this charcoal is not, it's got to be on the paper. Charcoal doesn't do well on top of graphite, it's weird. You have to get it really, really dark. Once you've gotten that graphite on your paper, boy, charcoal does not want to. Doesn't like to play. Let's do this. See if that'll get darker. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, now, so we have this crazy hair now. Now what are we gonna do? We are going to either take an eraser or take your electric eraser. See, that's not working because it's really, really smooth. Let's see if a kneaded eraser will do. Kneaded eraser is a little bit better, still not good enough. Yeah, this is where the electric eraser is super, super good. These aren't very expensive on Amazon, but yeah, they're worth it when you're doing hair. Sometimes just put too much graphite on here. Okay, let's do a little blending. Blending, you know what? We haven't blent. We haven't blent with our stump with our turtle on yet, okay? So this is really good when you want that darker. Remember last time I said blend when we were doing the eye? Blend with your stump when you want to do really, really black color, okay? So this is a good way to blend that black and just to bring it out in different places. So you can actually use your stump as a drawing tool, honestly. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and blend this in here because I don't like the way that's looking. Yeah, you can totally blend it. So yeah, we're taking a section of this hair. We're not going to do the whole thing. Okay. All right, so that's looking like hair, isn't it? Okay, now let me show you what it looks like with my little jelly roll thing. When I really, really want to do some highlights, I'm going to take this thing and do a highlight here. Sometimes it's not as wide as you want it to be, but you get the idea. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more off with my eraser. And once again, nothing quite like the electric. This is really, really good stuff. Yeah, I think my battery's dying on this thing. All right, so as I said for the beard, if I take off more than I want for a highlight, just go back over with your pencil and do a lighter stroke that doesn't diminish that highlight, but it fills in. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So here I took off way too much. Do you see that? So what I'm going to do is just kind of add a little bit of a strand, but it still retains the highlight. Do you see? So, okay. So what I'm seeing here, this looks pretty cool here. This looks really flat. So what do I need to do? If we're trying to mimic this area here loosely, then I need to go back over and make this really, really dark because I want this shape to stand out. So I'm going to take my charcoal and pretty much darken in this area where I want it to come out. Give it some volume. And you can really do this when you're using colored pencils. You see how that immediately made that strand pop? See? Just by adding a shadow. Shadows and highlights. Boy, that's what really makes your stuff pop, okay? Layers, layers, shadows and highlights. Now that looks like it's really in there. Okay. Boom. Pretty cool. See? We're doing crazy insane hair. Okay. All right. So kind of, let's see how we are in time. Okay. 20 more minutes. All right. So wavy hair, you really want to establish the ribbon. Okay. Kind of a ribbon pattern, the spiral, the wave. And then you want to really see where those highlights are. Like I can tell you right now, this area that I tried to use the jelly roll in, it needs to be way lighter. Okay, I wish, let me see if I can get this off. Yeah. Okay, yeah, get that off. See that? Now that looks better. Immediately. That just gave it a whole nother dimension. So that's good. And then that looks fine. I don't want to mess with it. This one a little bit is okay. This down here where it's curving, I want to really go back. The last thing you want to do is do all your highlights. That's the last thing you want to do when you're doing hair, okay? All right. Now, again, I kind of got rid of my strands there, so I'm going to go back maintaining my highlights, I'm going to go back and just add the strands here. And then I want to go back with my darker and give it the volume, okay, the shadow. Okay. All right, and then one more time with my little trusty dusty eraser, I'm going to do a couple of little flyaways here because hair's not perfect and it's out of control. I wish this would just, it's kind of, if you're not used to using these things, they're kind of out of control. There. Okay. Look at that. That's pretty cool. All right. So that is crazy wild hair. Okay. Let's go back to this little one I did earlier. If you look at that, this is, if you take a picture and you black and white it when you print it out, that's so much easier. I wanted to show you with colored picture what you can do. But also, this was an easy one to do. And let me go back to that one. I can show you. You look at this. Basically, let's look at the shapes here. I started out with a little oval, okay? I found a shape here. You see that triangle and a triangle? And then a little darker shade here and darker here. That's how I started. Darker shade here, triangle, triangle, and then down here, basically that's almost white. So I went ahead and started shading from the bottom and then erased the whiteness. Blonde hair is kind of easy to do because you get a lot of contrast. Black hair and red hair, oh, so much more difficult. But blonde hair is really, really easy to do. So practice with the blonde hair, okay? If you want this image, just let me know and I'll send it to you. I'll private message you on it. It's super cute. And then you can also practice this one. But be aware of starting from dark to light, from your darkest shades first, and then your highlight is really what makes up the hair itself, when you can highlight the strands of hair, okay? So if you guys have any questions, that's it for today. It was a short lesson. Next week we'll be finishing up, putting it all together. If you want the replay on this, I'll leave it posted, and I'll also post on my YouTube channel, the Wild Nest Art Studio. And yeah, y'all have a great afternoon. Get out there, enjoy the sunshine, and holler at me if you have any questions, and let me see your progress, okay? Y'all have a great day.